What up folks, CJ here with another 2 cents on a lesson. This time we're having a look at lesson 18, Introduction to Power Chords and Palm muting. So like with any other video I'm doing for this site, I have a look at the lesson and then just write down a couple of things I want to add. Things that I've learned throughout the years. So having said that, let's start with my point 1. Like Papa Gates says, the formula of a power chord is the 1/5 of a scale. Like for instance, if you want to have an A power chord, notice I'm saying A power chord, not major or minor, because we don't have a third degree of the scale or a flatted third to determine if it's a major or minor note, which is actually very great, but I'm getting far ahead of myself. A power chord, A power chord, would be the 1/5 of the A scale, which is the A and the E. But this formula he demonstrated on the low E string and the A string. But you can also do that on the D string, like so. And also on the G string. In case of the G string, you have to remember that due to tuning, the relation between strings is a bit different when it comes to the G string. So instead of having the power chord like so, first note on one fret and two frets higher is the other note, the fifth. In the case of the G string, you have your note on the G string, and the note, the fifth on the B string, is actually 3 frets higher, not 2. But it's the same power chord, just in a different octave. Like to demonstrate, we have like here a D power chord. On here, the same, or here. But yeah, keep that in mind when you're playing a power chord on the G string. Which brings me to my second point, the fingering of a power chord. I mean, he demonstrated it playing the power chord with your index and ring finger, like so. But throughout the years, I vary sometimes, but usually sometimes I play power chords with my index and pinky. That way I use my pinky more. So it would be the same. Also, now that I'm talking about fingering, all that I've been played so far is what I consider a simple power chord, which is basically just the 1/5 of a scale. But you can play a more complex, a more fuller sounding power chord, which is using the first, the fifth, and the octave, which is basically the first note, but an octave higher. So it would be like so. The 1, the fifth, and the octave. This being a D power chord would be a D, an A, and a D again. The octave of the first D. So yeah. Having said that, my next point is the power and power chord. I'm getting far ahead of myself. You can play this also on the G string, of course, but then, on the D string. But like I've told you, the relation between D and G is a bit different, so you have to go 1 fret higher. So here we have another D power chord. D, A, the octave of D, and then here you would have again the same pattern. Which sounds kind of shitty, but you get the gist of it. Now, finally, the third point, power in power chord. I mean, you can play a power chord however you like. You can be softer with it, you can be stronger with it, but as its name suggests, it's a power chord.
You're playing with power.
And for that, you need to know how to properly mute the other strings that you're not using. Like, when you're playing a simple power chord, you're only using 2 strings. You don't want to have the other strings ringing out. Otherwise, sounds like crap. So you need to mute properly. And for that, there are several different solutions. I've noticed that many teachers talking about this suggest that you should mute the upper string with the fleshy part of your index finger. That never really worked for me, so I'm doing like Papa Gates is doing in the video. I usually mute the upper string with my middle finger, which is not being used anyway. And the rest of the strings are being muted with the fleshy part of my index finger, or like I prefer to do with my pinky. So when I'm playing a simple power chord, I'm muting like so. I don't know if you can tell. I'm putting these fingers that I'm not using on top, just resting them, and the rest is done by my pinky. They don't ring, they're muted. So yeah, also when I'm playing a complex power chord, this is then done this way. Also, I'm noticing that when I'm playing a complex power chord, even this fleshy part here is kind of muting a bit of the string, of the high A string. But yeah, that's basically the gist of it. You should mute it properly just to make it sound more powerful, because we don't want strings that are not supposed to be ringing to ring. It sounds kind of ugly. So also regarding that, this is a little throwback to my first DJ's 2 cents on how to hold the pick. You can mute a lot when you're doing the palm muting, which is the second part of this lesson. Palm muting of chords. Regarding how to mute, as I told in my CJ's 2 cents lesson 4 video, the way you hold the pick will help you mute the strings easier. So if you're holding it the way Papa Gates is teaching you, kind of like so, resting on the bridge, muting is so much easier. But yeah, that's basically it. I hope this helped, and yeah, learn how to use the pick properly and play with power. Hope this helped. Bye.